Hi everyone! So a couple videos ago, we read a super cool book called The Story of Ruby Bridges. Now, if you don't remember this book, I highly recommend you go back to the other video and listen to it through one more time because we're going to do a really cool activity with it today. So, as we talked about before, Ruby Bridges grew up during the civil rights movement. She was kind of the start of it. She was a huge part of it. Civil rights movement was when they were fighting for equal rights for people who were African American and not white. So people who were African American were discriminated against. Hopefully you remember this huge word, discrimination, which basically just means to treat somebody differently or badly because of the way they look or a certain trait that they have. So, speaking of traits, I wanted to talk about character traits with you today. Ruby Bridges is an amazing person, was an amazing person, and she has a lot of really, really cool character traits that I want to work on identifying with you. So, before we start, I want to go over those other questions that we talked about last time as well. This might help us identify some of the traits that Ruby Bridges has. Okay. Why was Ruby a role model to other students? What character traits showed us that she was a role model to other students and people today even? And how did Ruby show bravery? What does it mean to be brave? What is that word? So, what I want to work on is, how do we identify character traits? How do we know that one character is brave? How do we know that Ruby Bridges was brave? Let's figure that out. So, hopefully, you've done a little bit of this in school before, but this is just a really quick review and then we'll work on it in the book. When you are trying to identify character traits, you definitely want to look back in the text. That's going to be your biggest tool in figuring out her character traits. Looking back in the text, you're going to look for dialogue, which is characters talking to each other, or speech, right? People talking or saying things. That can tell you a lot about what a character is like. The other thing you're going to look for, actions. What is this character doing? A certain action that a character is doing can tell you a lot about their character traits or what's important to them. All right, you're also going to look for descriptions. If the author is describing this character, they might even tell you, hey, Ruby Bridges was brave. So it tells you right there in the text. So you have to look really carefully and see if they do. And the last thing that you can look for are pictures. The authors and the illustrators work together to create this beautiful book. So the illustrations, a lot of times, will show emotions on characters' faces or actions that characters are performing. So if you can look at those, that's a really good indicator of a certain character trait somebody might have. So I went through the book and I looked for those things. And I came up with a couple character traits that I think Ruby Bridges embodies and has. Tell me if you agree with them or not. I think she's determined, strong, brave, hardworking, and I think she's also calm. So I want to show you step by step where I found those in the book and how I know that Ruby Bridges is all of these things. So here we go. We're looking back in the text, right? I marked a couple pages for us, so it might be a little bit easier. Okay, so on this page, it describes actions of other people. Ready? Let's read again. On Ruby's first day, a large crowd of angry white people gathered outside the France Elementary School. The people carried signs that said they didn't want black children in a white school. People called Ruby names. Some wanted to hurt her. The city and state police did not help Ruby. So it's saying, the text is saying that all these horrible things are happening to Ruby, but what does she still do? She still goes to school every single day. They have to call in the United States Marshals military people to walk her and escort her into school because it's so dangerous. But she's still going and she's still doing that. So I think that description of other people's actions shows that Ruby is determined, and it also shows that she's brave. She's walking through a crowd of people who are trying to hurt her. I don't know what's more brave than that. So let's keep looking. All right. Ooh, all right, if we look at this picture right here. If you look at Ruby's face, does she look happy or is she laughing? No, if you ask me, she looks determined. She's determined to get through that crowd of people and get into school. So we just looked at the picture right there, and that's what told us a character trait about Ruby. All right, let's keep going. A couple more. Okay, on this page, it says, but every day, Ruby went into the classroom with a big smile on her face, ready to get down to the business of learning. She was polite and she worked well at her desk, Miss Henry said. She enjoyed her time there. She didn't seem nervous or anxious or irritable or scared. She seemed as normal and relaxed as any child I've ever taught. So, in that dialogue, we saw quotation marks there. That's what told us that Ruby is what? Take a guess. Hardworking and calm. It said that her teacher said the word relaxed, calm, right? And it's telling us that she went to school every single day. And I would say that's hardworking. Okay. Last one, I promise. Which one haven't we done here? Okay. Here we go. Another place in the book. It says, every day for weeks that turned into months, Ruby experienced that kind of school day. She walked to France school surrounded by marshals, wearing a clean dress and a bow in her hair, carrying her lunch pail. So it told us right at the beginning, every single day, for weeks and months, this description is telling us a character trait of Ruby's. I think it could apply to almost all of these. I think it could be determined. It shows that she's strong, that she's going back every single day. So you get to pick. So that is how we identify character traits. I want you to go back to the reading of the story, try to figure out some more character traits of your own, or look back and listen in the text and see if you can figure out any other places that might tell us Ruby Bridges has this certain character trait.